Today I tried my best to do a talking, get ready with me type of video where I had some things to say. Some of it went okay, some of it didn't. So it was a little hit and miss, but welcome to the final production. Like some big event where I feel like I've really got to like spruce it up, which is not very often, by the way. You know, I might wear a little heavier makeup, but I am not a heavy makeup wearer. And I find that less, honestly, is more. If I wanted to go somewhere and I want to look my best, if I want to present my best face, this is what I'm doing today. Because right now, my goal is to minimize things that really bother me. Dark circles, my nose prominence. I like to contour my nose. I like to get rid of, as much as possible, this mess going on right here. This is gonna be a real talk video. So I'm gonna go ahead, oops, there's my eyebrows. My eyebrows are not easy to fix, and I'm not an eyebrow makeup expert either, so that's something that I really, that's something I think I'm gonna look into as far as learning how to fix these eyebrows a little bit. Just start with my color correcting. Again, this is something that I would do if I were actually going somewhere. I have this Stila palette. I picked it up at Ulta over a year ago. I was just in there and I think it was an impulse buy, but let me tell you, this has been one of the best things I've ever purchased. If I'm gonna hammer at something, it's gonna be dark circles, and it's gonna be this mess right here. So today there's gonna be an emphasis. Okay, these dark circles, I'm going to use orange. I find for me, I really go after that color correction because me no likey. So I'm gonna take a little bit, sometimes I use my fingers and sometimes I use a brush. Today I'm gonna use a brush. I just feel like doing it today with a brush. I feel like doing that. So I'm just basically going in and tapping the area that's really blue. Sometimes when I'm having a big allergy day or had a migraine or something, they're so bad that it's like the whole area is just like, whoa. Last night, you guys, I'm gonna try so hard to publish this video. I'm feeling extremely vulnerable. I watched some of my videos last night on a TV in the house that I've never watched my videos before. But that TV is very, very high def. You know where I'm going with this, don't you? So I watched my videos and I was like, oh my, I was horrified. And it did a little something to me. It really did something to me a little bit, and I had to kind of battle it to not dwell on it or think about it too much. It's just so ridiculous. It just kind of gave me a little bit of a, like, I mean, honestly, it really got to me. I don't know why. I was like, you know what, today I'm gonna get on here and I'm just gonna talk about this stuff and just be real. This is it's called Luxury Concealer. This is a brand that I found on Facebook, on a Facebook ad. And it got my attention. And this was, I think I've had this for 3 years. I've lost the cap. It's a little tube, but it is wonderful. It is a wonderful, quote, concealer as well as a foundation. It's very moisturizing. It's got hyaluronic acid and peptides, so it's very nourishing. But this has got to be probably one of the best foundation products, concealer products I've ever used. I love foundations that are nourishing and that have good coverage without, you know, laying in your lines and wrinkles. And this is probably one of the best. So today I'm gonna I put a little bit on my finger there. I'm gonna tap my concealer brush in it. Just it doesn't take very much. It's very concentrated. And I'm going to use this directly under my eyes and just tap it in there. And I think I'm gonna be able to get away with not using any additional concealer. And as you can see, this is extremely concentrated. I'm just really going in there and trying to shear it out a little bit, but I'm going to be using this on the rest of my face, so I'm just gonna go ahead and dab that. A damp sponge. Gonna get noisy in here, you guys, hold on. All right, hair up. This is an e.l.f. Cosmetics Foundation Brush. I don't know what number it is, so I'm just gonna come in here with my brush and move it around a little. And I can see where some orange concealer is still sticking out there a little bit. The orange correcting, that happens occasionally. I thought maybe I wasn't gonna have to use a little more concealer there, but I might have to anyway. Okay, you guys, let's talk. So last night I was watching myself on video. I was horrified. I think I had a middle-age crisis moment, I'm not sure. Every now and again, I'll get these, hair, what is that, what the heck is that? Every now and again, I'll get these moments where I'm like, it's like another milestone of, it's like a milestone of what happens when we get older. It seems like it's been more merciful to me in the recent years, but lately it's not quite as merciful to me. I'll just have these moments where I'm like, it just kind of hits me. And you know, as much as we'd like to say it doesn't matter and let's just all age gracefully or whatever, I mean, we'd like to just be at rest and peace with where we are and what we look like and what's gone and will never be again. And we make the best with what we have. But occasionally, you know, you'll just have those moments where it's like, oi. I had one of those moments last night. The volume loss in my face, that's gonna bug me. The volume loss in my face right here is just exacerbated by that blue. Back in probably 2016 or 2017 maybe, I had gone to a salon that had aesthetics as well as a physician there who, I'd gone to her for Botox, and then this happened, and this is a cautionary tale. I went in there to get some filler for this. I was like, I'm fed up with it. I wanted to get filler right here. There's a physician that I'd been to before that had never done fillers with me. She'd done Botox, but never any fillers. I went in there for Botox and I went in for filler, and she convinced me somehow, if you go in for a service and you know what you want, you've made up your mind, you know what you want, don't let a physician in the beauty industry try to talk you into do something you don't want to do or that you don't need. She said to me, let's place some filler up into your cheek and lift those cheekbones, and it will probably detract from the lines going down. Like, oh, well, I don't have a quarrel or a problem with the height of my cheekbones. I didn't care about that. My thought was, maybe if she did this, it would lift it and it would be more of a natural lifting instead of like a pillow or what. I didn't know, but I rolled with it. Not only did it not make any difference whatsoever in how lifted my cheek was, it made zero difference, no difference at all. Immediately after this happened, I found that I had these blue hues right along the track where she injected that filler. And I was like, what the heck is that? Occasionally when you have injectables, you'll get some bruising. It didn't look like bruising, so I looked it up. This makes me mad. I think about it still makes me mad. It's my own fault, shame on me. Thinking about getting filler. Research it, find out what can go wrong. Just warning you there. Okay, before I go on, I am going to now start contouring my nose. So I've been using a lip pencil to contour my nose. It works the same. Honestly, it's really creamy and I can easily target that area. So, all right, so I'll finish my story here. So she did this, I went home, and in a day or so, I found that I found that my cheeks had this blue stripe up each side, and it was very noticeable. And I was like, what the heck is that? And I looked it up. I think I typed in blue streaks after having filler. And there were these articles in there talking about something called the Tyndall effect. And what happens when you have an unexperienced, if you go to an injector, make sure that they are board certified and that they aren't emergency room physicians doing this for a side hustle. That's what I did, and I wasn't aware of it. Lesson learned. She was not a skilled injector. And I ended up with injections that were poorly injected, and the way that the product was placed under my skin caused this thing called the Tyndall effect. And it creates this blue tint. You can have the hyaluronic acid in your face, that's the injectable, dissolved, and hopefully it'll go away. It never goes away, or it takes years to go away. I told her what happened, and she said, "Oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you." She said, "We can, if you want, we'll come in and we'll dissolve it for free, and then if you want to re-inject, we'll only charge you half price." And I was like, no, thanks. I went to another doctor, and I had it dissolved, and I was hoping that that would take care of it. It didn't. You know, I've lost volume right here, and so the volume loss, in addition to the blue hue, just makes me look really sunken. And so, again, you know, these are first world problems, you guys. This isn't like, you know, the end of the world or anything like that. I mean, our value doesn't rest in, you know, our fine lines, our deep lines, our wrinkles.
So I take a light concealer or contour of some kind, and I just go after that area right there, okay? I'm using a ring light to the side, hoping that I have better lighting, it's more consistent, instead of just sitting in front of the window, so I hope that's making a difference here. So I'm not shy about really piling that on. I get rid of most of it.
You know, I really don't like those things. And if I'm gonna use makeup, I'm gonna use it for what it's for, right? Then I take a contour brush. This is by Farmasi. This is a nice brush for contouring or going after that stuff. So what I do is I just go in and I blend it out. So what I did was I took the Can't Stop, Won't Stop contour concealer from NYX, and I placed it in those lines from my nose to my mouth and filled them in and highlighted them really well. And that creates light in an area that has shadows and makes those lines look more deep. And as you can see, I'm just using this contour brush to buff it out. This borders on a scientific experiment for me, okay? My nose is very prominent. If I can make it a little more flattering instead of just this right in the center of my face, I'm very happy with that. Contouring my nose and these areas right here have helped me to feel less self-conscious about it. That's why we use makeup, right? Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add just a little bit of concealer under my eyes. I can see that there's still a little bit of the orange corrector peeking through, so I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna do something different this time. I'm gonna use my Stila palette, and I'm gonna go in and use this. I'm just gonna dab a little bit on this concealer brush. This is a Farmasi concealer brush, by the way. Let's see if I can color correct that just a little bit better. I remember when I was 20 years old and I was working in this grocery store, and my grandma came in. I hadn't seen her for a long time. Full disclosure moment, my grandma on my mom's side wasn't very nice. We didn't have much of a relationship with her. But she came into this grocery store where I was working, and I hadn't seen her for a long time. And I noticed that she had very prominent, deep lines right here. I remember having this thought, I hope I don't age like that. Okay, I'm gonna just let this sit for a second. I'm just gonna let the product just sort of melt and become one with my under eyes. And I'm gonna do my eyeshadow. But now that I'm watching myself actually in video and watching myself with every flaw out there as I correct it and cover it and the transformation begins, I see that the revelation of playing up the things that are good, or the things that are my best features, my eyes are probably my best feature. So to sort of play up my best features, to sort of detract from other things that maybe don't make me as happy, because I just realized I forgot to do something. This is what happens when I start talking. I need to set the area around my face here where I've done the contouring. It really helps. Take this powder here. I'm just gonna take, I don't have a good enough brush to pack it on, so I'm just using a sponge here. And so I'm going to set around my nose area. This kind of bakes it in. I've had to practice this a little bit because I don't like a lot of texture that powder will leave on my face. But when I contour my nose area and around here, this beautiful powder if I let it sit in there, will hold it and give it a more natural look. So that's what I'm doing with this powder. I'm gonna wipe it away when I'm done letting it sit, right? So I'm going in with my Naturally Pretty palette here. This Naturally Pretty palette from IT Cosmetics. One of the reasons I really like this palette is because not only are the hues very natural, but the shadows are milled in such a way that if you have mature eyes and you've got some crepiness or whatever, it's not gonna sit on your eye and emphasize that. This is the IT Cosmetics Travel Size Shadow Brush. And I'm gonna take today, I'm gonna go in with this shade here for my lid. This is the shade Dream. And I'm just going to, so I'm actually using a ring light now, and I'm finding that where it's positioned is actually creating shadows. So let me see if I can fix this. I'm gonna go ahead and just use that on my lid. I'm gonna sweep it all the way up this time. Okay, so that's just a really nice base shadow right there. I'm seeing a little bit of creasing going on right there. See, a little bit of creasing in my eye. So it's time for this setting spray under your eyes and in areas where you don't want creasing or your lines going woo. So this is the Urban Decay Chill. I'm just gonna spray some on the back of my hand a little bit. I'm gonna take 2 fingers like this, and I'm going to tap it into that area there so that it will not, I probably should have done this earlier now that I'm thinking about it. It probably wouldn't have creased if I'd done it earlier. But you take this setting spray and just tap it in there, and it will hold your makeup really nice. What I found, just using a little bit here, I'll take some of the setting spray and I'll roll it up here into this place here. That's probably the area that if I were going to have medical intervention, it would be here. So I've continued to use, this is Fiera. You can see it's well worn. This powder, I like to use this brush, and I just tap a little bit. I just get a little bit on there. I try not to use a lot of powder because I'm just gonna set everything, just tapping it, putting it on in there very gently. This e.l.f. Bite-Size Quad, this is, back onto the eyeshadow, this is the e.l.f. Bite-Size Quad in the palette Rosewater. This is a shadow crease brush or maybe a detail brush, I'm not sure. Just for the sake of time, I am cutting out some of the chatter and just speeding up my eyeshadow application. This is, I'm gonna go into this. This is called Intrigue. I'm gonna go into the crease area, just right there, and swirl it around. Eyeliner. I like to use eyeshadow for eyeliner more than I do pencils. And it's really good if you've got a good liner brush. This is excellent. This is the, let's see, Bare Essentials Full Edged Liner, and thin. So you can get a really good line going there. So I like that. I'm gonna take this same shade I used for the crease color in Intrigue. I dip my brush in there. You can be as dramatic as you want. I am not going for that look today, so.
Do some bronzer, which will pick me right up. So I'm using the Laura Geller Baked Bronze and Brighten in the shade medium, and this is, you guys, this is such a good bronzer. It's, I don't know what magic she did, but it is an amazing bronzer. I'm going to use this Farmasi dual end powder brush today, and I'm just going to swirl that in there.
Florida, and we've had a hurricane thing going on the last couple days in the state. I am about 2 hours north of Miami on the Gulf side, and we got very, very fortunate not to have all hell break loose like we did last year with that. Hurricane Ian barreled through here last year, and it was my maiden voyage having to live through a hurricane. I can't even describe it. We were here, communication was gone. We were sitting here while this monster was coming through. We didn't know if we were in the beginning, toward the end, how fast it was moving, we didn't know. We didn't know where we were in that process, and it was so unnerving. It lasted all day. This thing lasted from morning until night. It was all day long with the threat of these winds. It picked up palm trees and knocked them across the street. It picked up trees that were literally brought the grass up with it in some places around here. It was a very powerful storm. Thank God we were relatively unscathed. We didn't have anything happen to this house, thank God. My car had a little bit of damage, but comparative to what it could have been, it was very minimal. I was very thankful for that. But it was a very scary and demoralizing thing. It felt like the whole world was watching and we couldn't watch. We were in it, but we didn't know what was going on. And because of the outages and the mess it was around here, we weren't able to really see the devastation. Even though we were here, we couldn't see the devastation of what Ian did in the outlying areas. I walked up and down the neighborhood and I was like in awe of what this storm did. It was funny how it would pick up certain things. It would literally pick up these big strapping trees, pull them up by the roots and knock them over in some areas, but not in other areas. It was absolutely mind-boggling, awe-inspiring, and just, I just knew I never wanted to go through that again. So when this hurricane thing started to raise its ugly head, I was grateful that we weren't in the path of it. We got some wind and a little bit of rain, but I was grateful we weren't in the path. But knowing what other people could possibly be going through with this hurricane in other parts of the state was not lost on me. I was very concerned about my Florida neighbors. So I just wanted, at this point, I'd like to add some color to my lips. So hurricanes are no joke. It gives you a respect for these things, let me tell you. I love gloss. I don't wear lipstick a lot. One of the reasons I don't wear a lot of heavy lipstick is because I feel like if I do, it takes away from areas that I want to emphasize, i.e. my eyes, and also draws attention to maybe these lines that I'm trying to minimize. So I like to just wear a nice gloss and get some color there, and occasionally I'll use a lip liner. I'm not gonna do that today. Okay, mascara. I don't always curl my eyelashes, but I have found that if I curled my eyelashes, I don't have to mess around with mascara or use as much mascara. So that's what I'm gonna do today. These eyelash curlers can be the instrument of torture. So if you're from Florida, if you live in Florida and you're watching and you are in the path of that hurricane, just want you to know my heart is with you. I know that there are me as well as my friends and others that are concerned, and we are praying for you. I believe in prayer. Gosh, this is one of the things about eyelash curlers that I just, Anyway, I hope that everything is okay. Damage to property, life and property is extremely minimal. I haven't heard the latest on that one. My go-to mascara, Lash and Roll. This is drugstore, obviously. I like it. It has a nice curved brush. If you have a brush that's curved, that's what's gonna curl your lashes. We are gonna go ahead and just place this. I start from the bottom and I kind of wiggle my way up. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some color to my cheeks. I'm going to use Estee Lauder Pure Color Envy Sculpting Blush, and this is the color Rebellious Rose. So I'm using this. Anyway, it's a really nice blush. It just sort of blends right over the top of your texture. It's just a lovely powder. So for me, it was worth the money. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take this angled Bespoke brush and dip it right on in there. Bring it in. And my cheeks, my face is not symmetrical, so I've got one side that's higher than the other. Got to work with that too. My hair down. See if I can look bougie. Do I look bougie? Oh, are any of you losing your hair? Every time I wash my hair or when I'm styling it, I just get like long strands that are coming out more and more. What is going on with that? I'm not going to put up with that if I don't have to. So, okay, good enough. Okay, vanity lighting. This is very bright. We're going to check the under eye concealer and see how well that held. It looks like it held nicely. So I came outside to see what my makeup looks like in the sun. That's kind of my litmus test of how it's sitting on my face. And I noticed we did have some wind. I didn't realize that it was as strong as it was. We did get the P.S. Idalia was here. I'll show you. There's a palm tree there, and it leaves some of the palm tree fronds fell down. That's definitely a hint that we had some strong winds. And then, don't ask me how this happens, but that tree there bent and fell at the mercy of this slight hurricane that we had here. If you're in Florida and you got hit hard by this thing, just know that the rest of us Floridians are with you and you're not alone in this. And we are definitely thinking of you and praying for you.